Welcome back to the Disguised Horse. As always, it's your host, Matt. Now, I know, my last video was 5 things I hate about my Subaru WRX STI. There's been a lot of hate going around, but this time we're only talking about the positives and the things I truly love about this car. So in this episode, we're bringing you 5 things I love about my Subaru WRX STI. Starting out, since we're already out here, I want to talk about the styling. Now, the WRX STI is a very distinct when you look at it. It's got the big fender flares, and if you come around the sides, on the STI, it's got the vents and the STI logo here in the fender well, and it just looks amazing, and I can't get enough of that styling. Another great thing about the STI is from the factory, it comes with these beautiful Brembo brakes with the STI emblem embossed into them. Now, mine are looking a little crusty right now, but don't worry, there's a video coming soon on how you can take care of your brakes. But even though these come from the factory, these are some of the best brakes on the market. I don't know how many posts there are out there for different cars, like can I do the STI conversion? Will these brakes fit on my car? And not only that, they're just a quality set of brakes with enough pad and enough friction to get you stopped at any tight turn or anything of that nature. Finally, my favorite thing about the WRX STI is what is possibly its defining feature, the rear wing. Now, this wing is iconic. I can't express to you how much I love this portion of the car. I just think, one, it's so ridiculous. Two, it just is so hot boy, but at the same time, it just works so well. You can tell whoever the designer was really put their time and effort into creating this wing because it matches the body lines, and it's become iconic in car culture. Now, there's a few other wings like the Mark IV Supra wing, the wing off the Eclipse, that are also just like resonate with me, and they all fit into this category of just, they're perfect for the car. Somebody really truly wanted this to work, and they said, I don't want something simple, I want something special, and they absolutely nailed it with this wing. Also, where else am I going to eat my lunch? Damn, this is a good sandwich. Now that we're in the car, you all know how I feel about the head unit, but let's not start there. So some of the great things about the inside of the car is the handling. I mean, this thing handles like it's on rails. Personally, I think mine needs a little bit of an alignment. Haven't had a chance to get over to the alignment store lately. Once again, that busy schedule. But I got it out here on some of the back roads, and man, it takes turns so well. You point this thing and it just absolutely goes. It'll hug the corners. I couldn't imagine this around the track with a sticky set of tires. It'd almost be hard to turn because it's just that good. Now, there are some things that could be better. Car could be a little bit lower. I'm sure you can get some under tray and make that airflow better, but it just gets better. The more you get into it, the more turns and curves you have. It's just so smooth. The suspension can be a little bit hard at times, but potholes will be potholes, you know what I mean? And on the suspension inside the STI, you get the differential controls, which is really great, depending on what you're driving in. Personally, I just let it go in auto and manual because the differential will decide where the power needs to go. Unfortunately, it doesn't snow where I'm at that much, so I can't do those cool snow drift videos where you push it all the way to manual to the rear wheels and you just spin circles. One of these days, right? But for the most part, it's really great that you can control where you want the power. I've played around a little bit with it, but I haven't really seen too much of a difference when I'm just driving on the road. I'm sure somebody out there will correct me and tell me how stupid I am, but if you guys know a better way to operate it, then please let me know. But for right now, auto and right in the middle is where it's at. So the STI comes with a 6-speed manual transmission, and I think it's one of the best transmissions on the market. It feels like you're cocking back the bolt action on a rifle when you go through the gears. Now, it maybe could be a little bit better with like a heavier spring rate because there is a little bit of play. But once again, this car does have some miles on it, so a brand new one might feel better. But Another wonderful thing about the Subaru WRX STI is, once again, the litany of aftermarket support. There's Subi Speed, Grim Speed, all the speeds. There's always different manufacturers that are doing, new creative things with the cars, and there's that suspension bumps I was telling you about. But there's always someone trying to make these cars better because there's so much love for these cars. Now, I've seen some aftermarket shifters you can get that raise it up a little bit and give you more of a, I won't say driving experience, but maybe a better driving position. Oh, speed bump. But as far as I'm concerned, like for daily driving, I think the stock one is where it's at. Another great feature of the STI is the seats. I mean, I'm going to go out here on a limb and say these are some of the best factory seats that have ever been made. The bolstering is so good, and the person who owned it before me, like I said, took very good care of the car, and there's getting in and out of it, there hasn't been a lot of wear in the side panel here. Like the back of it still feels really good. I do like the fact that they're manual seats, so there's a lot of adjustability, and you don't have to worry about nannies within the car to say like, oh, the seat's going to go back this fast. Like, nope, I want to go all the way back, pull the rod, and I go all the way back. And it's just one less thing that can uncomplicate the car, which I think is wonderful. To add on to the car is very analog. Like, it's very not complicated. It's about as close to a raw driving experience as you're going to get. Like I said previously, the seats are manual. Like, there's very few things that are like, hey, should you be doing that? Like, there's you can turn off traction control, which is another cool feature, because when you turn off traction control, it turns on track mode. And there's nothing cooler than seeing track mode in your dash. It makes you feel like you're driving a supercar on track when you're just literally driving down the highway. Now, the cockpit of the STI, while it's not very analog because there are 3 screens, it does provide a very clean driving experience. So the gauge and cluster is very, very simple. You got your tach, your speedo, miles per gallon, what setting your differential is in, and then what gear you're in, and obviously your mileage on the vehicle. But then you got your 2 other screens. You've got up top, you've got a multi-purpose screen, which I just keep it on the boost controller because it's fun. You can always try to set your high record. Right now my peak boost is 17.2. And then you just kind of get to watch your boost gauge. You don't have to install another one. You don't have to get your pillar gauges. You don't have to make it look all cool guy unless you really want to. But you've got your accelerator and your boost gauge up top. You've got time and temperature outside, which all very convenient. You don't have to flip through screens. And then if you want to, there's a button right here that allows you to switch through the screens, which has some other information. You've got another clock, which really can, if you really want it simple up there, you can turn the clock on, or you've got your miles per gallon, and then you've got a axis of the car. So it tells you which tires are getting power at the moment, and then what type of incline or decline the car is sitting at. And it's just really good information to have, and it's all really simple and really helpful to have. I'm not going to get into too much about the head unit. Like I said earlier, you all know how I feel about this thing. I can't stand it. But there is an option to change the color on it, which is a nice little touch because it matches the aesthetic of the car. While the brakes are lime green, everything else in the car is either black or red. So I think from the factory it comes blue, and right now I have mine set to red, which really kind of just ties in everything. I've got the red shift knob, red seats, red gauges, so it just it's that little something that makes it really nice. But I've been doing my research on head units. I believe it's the iDoing that you can upgrade, or not upgrade, but it has a feature where it'll show you other parameters within the car, which will just give you more information and then really clean up the look. And so you wouldn't have to have a whole bunch of external pods to really let you know what's going on with the car at any given time. Another great feature of the STI is, honestly, it's really not that bad on gas. Currently, I'm getting about 21, 22 miles per gallon on the highway, which a lot of the driving I do is highway driving, so that really helps. And the tank is kind of small. So with the downpipe, I know I'm probably losing a few miles per gallon there. But I mean, it sounds great, and unfortunately, that check engine light every now and then. But it's really not too big of a drawback to have that sound and that loss of miles per gallon. And then on top of that, the tank is relatively small. So every time I fill up, I'm going to say it, I use premium every single time. And, once again, that goes back to the care of maintenance of the car, and maybe why some cars don't last longer than others, because one, maybe you're just not in a financial position where you can afford premium every single time you fill up, or it's just unavailable where you are. But the tank is small, relatively small. So usually when I fill up, I think it's only about 13 gallons that I have to put on this car, even from empty. And currently it's only about 35, 40 bucks every time I fill up with premium, which is pretty nice, because previously the Passat I had before this had an 18-gallon tank. And even when I was using the cheapest fuel I could find, it was still almost $55, $60. And then when gas was high, it was just like I didn't even want to look at the pump. So I don't really think I'm missing out on much having a bigger tank, because this isn't a road trip car. That's what the family car is for. And honestly, it feels good, because when I have my spouse with me and I take her to the gas station, she's like, wow, that was really inexpensive to fill up. And I'm like, I know, it's great. This was such a good investment. All right, guys, that's going to be it for 5 things I love about my Subaru WRX STI. Once again, I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And don't forget, if we make it to 1,000 subscribers by January 31st, we'll be doing a mod of your choice. So if there's something you want to see done to this car, I'm going to go ahead and say, other than a full engine rebuild, put it down in the comments, and whatever gets the most vote, we'll make sure to do, and we'll dedicate it to you. Thanks for subscribing. We'll catch you next time. And then to wrap things up on the SX... Oh, bitch, what?